Hello everyone, welcome back to our Python class. Before starting today's topic, let's revise what we learned in our previous class. Okay, we learned about if else, elif, nested if statement. These statements help Python make decisions. But just imagine you want to print hello 100 times. How will you try? I think you guys will try like this. But it's wrong. That would take a lot of time and make the program very long. So this is wrong. Python provides a better solution called loops for this. So we can study what is loops. Okay. A loop is used to execute the same block of code repeatedly until a condition becomes false or a sequence end. Just think about real life. Suppose your teacher tell you to write, I will practice Python 10 times. Would you write the sentence manually every time? Yes. A computer doesn't like repeating the same code again and again. Instead, we tell Python, repeat this task 10 times. This process is called a loop. I will give you some real life examples. Okay. A fan keeps rotating. A clock keeps ticking. A clock keeps ticking. A washing machine repeats cycles. These are the some real life examples. Okay, all these examples have involved repetition. Look, loops work in the same way. Okay, so there are two types of loop: for loop and while loop. The for loop is used when we know how many times we want to repeat something. The while loop is used when we don't know the exact number of repetition and want to continue until a condition become false. Okay. Now we will study the loops detailedly. Okay. I will just give the structure of for loop in the coding part. Okay. Just watch it. Structure of for loop. So this is the structure of for loop. For is a keyword, variable stores in the current value, range, generate numbers, indentation, code inside the loop. Okay, so I will give one example problem so you can understand it practically also. For I in range 5, range print I. So now we are running the program. Okay, I will explain line by line also. Okay, there is some error, so we are checking it. Yeah, we forgot the indentation, so we put it. The first line for I in range 5. Range 5 generates the numbers 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, 5 will not be there in range 5. Okay, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. The variable I takes one value at a time. Okay, Now we will move on to range function. Okay, now we are moving to range function. So I will give an example problem. Let's just try this. It starts from 2, increase by 2, stops before 10. It's the format is like that. So let's, okay, we can see that. Okay, now we will move on to the while loop. Okay, now we are moving to the while loop section. First, I will write the structure of while loop. This is the structure of while loop. Okay, this is the structure of while loop. While repeats the code as long as the condition remains true. Okay, now we will study while loop with a problem also, so you can understand it practically also. Print I. So now we are running the program. So we are getting the right answer. The first line stores the value 1. Then Python is checking the condition. Then we are printing I. The value become and the loop repeats. Okay. So we are getting the answer 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. Now I will explain the difference between for loop and while loop. Okay. So hereby we studied for loop and while loop. Now we are going to check the difference between for loop and while loop. Okay. First of all, for loop. First we for loop. In for loop used when number of repetition is known. Okay. Then while loop used when repetition depend on a condition. Okay, now in for loop uses range. Okay, and use one more thing is there, uses range and easier for counting. Okay, now we'll go into another thing of while loop uses a condition. Okay, while loop uses a condition. Another one, better for condition based repetition. Okay, while loop uses as a condition better for a condition based repetition. Okay, so this is the summary of this class, so you can screenshot it and I will again tell the summary. Some question I will give, comment out the answers in the comment box. What is a loop? Why loops are needed? Types of loop. For loop syntax, range function, while loop syntax, difference between for and while. Okay, now we will practice three question. Okay, three coding question. Now we will practice. Just look it carefully. For I range. This is a question from for loop. Okay, I. Okay, now we are running the program. Yeah, we get the right answer. The range is from 1 to 11. So 11 didn't include because 11 will not include. Only till 10 it will include. 4 is a keyword used to create a loop here. We can see I here. I is called the loop variable range 1 to 11 generates the numbers from 1 to 10. Okay, the number 11 is not included because range stop before the ending value, and we can see the colon here tells Python that the loop block start here, and the value output will be same as like this. Okay, and the print I, this line print the current value of I. During each repetition, Python prints one number. Okay, now we will move on to the next problem. Okay, we're going to the next problem. Enter number. Print I. So now we are going to run the program. We can enter a number. Okay, so now if we enter the, suppose we enter a number 5, yeah, you will get the for this. Okay, 5 into 1, 5 into 2, 5 into 3, 5 into 4 till 5 into 10. Okay, okay, now I'll explain line by line. The first line asks the user to enter a number. The input, you can see here, input takes input, int converts it into an integer stored in a variable number. Here the variable is num. Okay, line 2 for I in range 1 to 11. Range 1 to 11 produces the numbers from 1 to 10. We know that. So the loop runs 10 times. And the third line print num, this it calculates continue till 5 into 10 is equal to. Okay, right. Okay, now we'll move on to the another problem. Okay, now we are moving to the another problem. So this is the next problem, sum of numbers. So just watch what I'm coding. The question is sum of numbers from 1 to 10. Okay, for I in range 1 to 11, sum to sum plus I range sum sum. Now we are running it. Yeah, we get the answer as output as 10. So it is right. Here we, in the first line, we created a variable called sum and initialize it to 0. This variable will store the running total. The second line for I in range 1 to 11 generates the numbers from 1 to 10. The loop repeats once for each number. Line 3, sum is equal to sum plus I. Okay, this line add the current value of I to the existing value of sum. Okay, so we will get the output as correct. Okay, so I will ask, I will do one more question for you guys. Okay, I will do one more question. I will do a print a name 5 times question. Okay, print a name 5 times question. Okay, just watch it carefully. range 5 print name. So we are running the program. We can type our name. Okay. Yeah, it is getting 5 then 2 3 4 5. So our code execution is successful. Okay, now we can do one more problem. Countdown from 10 to 1 problem. Okay, so just watch the coding part. So now we are running the program. Oh, there is an error, so we can fix it. Yeah, the indentation is missing here, so we fixed it. Yeah, we are getting the right answer. Okay, we are getting the right answer. I will explain. Starts at 10. First line I will explain. Starts at 10, decreased by 1 each time, stops before 0. After the loop, prints a message. That's how we are getting the answers. Okay. Now we will move on to the next question. Finding the factorial of a number. Okay. This is also an important question for exams. So just watch the coding part. Well, later I will explain. So now we are running the program. Yeah, we can enter a number here. If we enter 5, yeah, we are getting the 5 factorial as 120. Okay, firstly I will explain. Read a number from the user, then initialize fact to 0, multiply fact by each number from 1 to num, print the final factorial. This is how we are getting the problem. Now I will give some homework for you guys to practice. Just practice, 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 so you will get it confidently. Just print numbers. So I will make it more bold so you guys understand. Print numbers from 50, 100. Print all multiples and all multiples of 5 from 1 to 100. This is another question. Then one more question. This is the last question for your homework. Print your name 10 times using a loop. These examples gradually increase in difficulty and help you guys to become more comfortable for loop with for loop before moving on to the nested loop and pattern programs. Okay, so let's conclude today's class by revising everything we learned about loops in Python. So today we learned that a loop is a programming statement used to execute the same block of code repeatedly. Instead of writing the same code multiple times, we use loops to make our programs shorter, faster, and more efficient. We studied the two types of loops in Python. Okay, do you remember that two types of loop? For loop, for what? For loop used when we know the number of repetition. Okay, for loop used when we know the number of repetition. Okay, then repetition. Okay, now we'll move to while loop. A loop used when the number of repetition depends on a condition. Okay, used when the number of repetition depends on a condition. Okay, we also learned about the range function in different forms: range stop, range start stop, range start stop step. And we have practiced several problems, including printing numbers from 1 to 10, multiplication table, sum of numbers, even numbers, odd numbers, printing a name multiple times, countdown from 10 to 1, factorial of a number. We have practiced this much problems. Okay, so you guys want to practice all of them again and again. Okay, these examples showed us how loops can solve repetition tasks easily. Now I will give some key points to remember from this section. Okay, key points to remember from this section. Yes, I will put in star and write. A loop repeats a block of code. A loop repeats a block of code. For loop are the best when the number of repetition is known. Okay, for loops are the best when the number of repetition is known. Now next one is now the next key point is while loops continue until a condition becomes false. Continues until a condition become false. Okay, now next main important key point: range function is commonly used for loops. Okay, range function is commonly used for loops. Okay, so in our next class we will learn about strings in Python. We will understand what strings are, how to access characters, perform string operations, and use useful string methods. So, thank you everyone for attending today's class. Keep practicing every day because programming become easier with regular practice. Okay, so See you in the next class. Have a great day. Thank you.